Okay, part 2 of our house arrangement recording. So the first thing we're going to need is a really decent keyboard sound, like a big fat synth patch. So for this, I'm going to use the ES2. Whoops. ES2, which is Logic's kind of flagship synthesizer. It does a lot of things. And I'm going to go to, what was it? SynthPads SuperDrive. I'm going to play that a little bit. Okay, it's a pretty fat sound, but it needs a bit of tweaking. First of all, the attack is too long. I need something that's instant. So I'm going to turn this attack down. And I'm going to turn the release down. So we got... There you go. Now let's see how it responds to filter. This is our cutoff where... Okay, pretty good. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So now that I have my keyboard sound, I need to play the part that we developed right here. So I'm going to play this clave for the keyboard. I'm going to go for about 123 beats per minute. Okay, so I want my click. Okay. Okay, so obviously I played a wrong note in there. So I'm going to go in and clean that thing up. First I'm going to quantize everything to 16th notes. That tidied everything up quite a bit. I can see this note's wrong right here. So by holding Alt and arrow, I can move that note. I'm also going to lengthen things a little bit. So let me just... This instrument's very loud. I'm going to turn it down some. Okay. So basically cleaning it up. Okay. So I'm going to save this right now and call it House 3 because I've already got a couple of houses. Okay. So let's take a listen to that. Okay, that's kind of what I want. We're going to use filters and delay to sort of hip it up a bit later. Right now, this is the basic idea. So what we're going to do is create a gate. So the thing goes da 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 da. So to do that, I'm going to create a new track. And I'm going to use battery. What I'm looking for here is just a drum, simple drum part that we're not going to hear, but it's going to regulate that part that we just recorded. So I'm going to go down here to, I don't know, let's just try Miami Vice kit. Let me hear the snare on that thing. That'll work. That's actually better. Okay, so okay, I'm going to try to play it. 2, ready, and okay, so I actually played a kick in there by accident with my sloppy hand. Let's just go in and clean it up. Again, select everything, quantize to 16th notes. Chuck. There's the kick that we'll get rid of. Although, what a great sounding kick. And my phone was ringing. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's hear it. Okay, great. So now let's go to this track. We're going to make it so that we don't hear it. I don't want the audio to go out. It's going to go to no output. But what we're going to do is set up a gate on the original keyboard channel. So I'm going back to my keyboard part. I'm going to go down on my audio effects. I'm going to go down to dynamics, noise gate. There it is. And I'm going to tell the noise gate to listen to the Miami Vice kit that I just used. So now that that's set up, I'm going to bring my threshold up until it starts to work. You'll notice that you can actually use it as a ducker as well. That's pretty cool. For now, I'm not. Also, that's very jagged. I want to give it a little less jaggediness. So I'm going to let it release a little longer. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to group these things together because basically they belong together. And what I'm going to do is EQ this keyboard part. And I'm also going to add a delay to it. So before we do that, I want to double the length of that. Actually, we're going to make it nice and long. Okay. So let's add a delay. Let's do that first. I'm going to put the delay on the sum track. I'm going to call this keys. And I'm going to put audio effects. I'm going to go down to delay. And I'm going to go to the one that I like to use, stereo delay. Very simple. And I'm going to change this to a half note, I believe. I think I like it better. Output mix, I'm going to bring all the way down to about 13%. Otherwise, it just gets too much into the mix. I really don't want it. And I'm going to reduce my equalizer spectrum quite drastically. We don't need a lot. Okay, it's not bad. It's kind of what I'm going for. Finally, let's EQ this. So on my keys track, I'm going to activate the equalizer. And I'm going to activate the high pass filter, the low pass filter. This allows low frequencies while shutting out high frequencies. It looks like that. It's a shelf. So what I'm going to do is start with it super low, somewhere around here. I'll make it super steep, about that. And what I want, the goal is to, as the track plays, is to have it progressively rise. You know, for that classic synth introduction sound. Okay, so that's almost too low. But what we're going to do is automate. We're going to go into our automation track. And what I'm looking for, what I want to automate is, on the channel EQ, the high cut frequency. So you can already see it's set to 210, which is too low. We'll probably start around 350, 400, good place to start. And what I want to is, I basically want a 4-measure introduction. We want to have our drums kick in right here at number 5. So at that point, I want to have everything fully open. So that's my goal. Boom, boom. You know what I'm talking about. Right, so that's where we're going with that. Okay, great. So we've basically got our key set up. We'll be doing a little bit of ducking later on, but now our next step is to get our bass line to come in. So again, I'm going to go back to here now. For our bass part, here's what we wrote. Me, 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 me. So what we need is a decent sounding bass. There are a lot of great bass sounds. I think what I'm going to do is just grab one from well, let's do this. Let's do an ESM, monosonic synth. It's kind of that because we can do a lot with that later on using effects. This is a very just raw, simple tone. So I'm going to have the bass come in right here and play just for 4 measures. So I'm going to record myself playing it. So you'll notice I jumped the octave towards the end of that line just for interest, just for a little variety. We're still playing the same notes. Dee, nee, 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 nee. I think I jumped up to the A up here, but it's still an A, so it's still a 4 chord. Okay. Let's go in here. Control A, Q, quantize everything, which I almost don't want to do because having a little errors is interesting. However, if you're doing a lot of tracks, like upwards of 20 tracks, those little errors become, they make things very blurry and muddy. So it really is best to quantize. Okay, great. So we'll add a little interest to that bass sound a little later. What I want to do now is bring in an Apple Loop drum. And what I found was I'm looking for alt drums, and for genres I'm looking for house. This filters out all of the loops and basically gives us a couple of different ones. I used this one. It's pretty fat. So let's just drag it out. Okay. Okay. Okay, great. And so, I think what I want to set up now is a bit of ducking sidechain. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is run compressor on this channel. This is my keyboard channel. I'm going to go down here to dynamics, compressor, stereo. This is the Logic compressor. And actually, you can see all these buttons along the top give you a fair amount of choice. They all behave differently, and some of them are awesome. This one's kicking. It sometimes distorts though. So here's what I'm going to do. Set this one up, the basic one, which is the most high fidelity one. I'm going to go to sidechain up here, and I am going to choose audio chronograph set beat, my drums. So now it's listening. It's listening to those drums. Everything's a little loud. I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to mute the bass. Let's just name it bass before we forget. Okay, I'm going back to my keyboard part. Going to compressor. And I want to hear how this thing is working. Okay, well that's we got ourselves the beginnings of a house track. What I want to do is come back and add a few details. I want to add a lead line. I want to bring in that Eileen sample, show you how I did that. And dress that bass line up with a bit of distortion and maybe a square wave so that it sounds more like an actual real house bass. So I'm going to leave you with this for now. Happy twiddling. I'm sorry, I'm thinking my other class. So I'd like you to come up with a similar assignment, and I'll have some instructions for you in my announcement. Thanks a lot, class.